Hey, how's it going, everybody? Shaun here for another edition of Shaun Solo, and today I wanted to give a little bit of a kind of a review slash rant. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it, right? Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six Siege is the new Rainbow Six game that came out, this past. Did it come out in November or the early December? Sometime December. Anyways, I played the beta. I really enjoyed the beta. I was actually really surprised. Then my brothers ended up getting the game, and my brother Dan got me a copy of it for Christmas so we could all play together. And so since, I would say, about a week after Christmas, I've been playing it. So a little over a month of time. Probably, I don't know what I'd say, probably like 25 to 30 hours I've probably invested in it. But I've read a lot about it. It's a really kind of, the game's got a kind of confused message in terms of what it is, it's a $60 retail game that is online only, and it's kind of limited in scope. But, having said that, those limitations in terms of scope, in terms of how many maps you have, and the types of weapons you have, and the classes, actually make for a really, really fun, exciting, tense game. It's the closest thing to, original Counter-Strike I've played in a really long time, especially on consoles. They tried to bring, Counter-Strike, Global Offensive to the consoles, and it just didn't work. I remember I bought it, I was just curious about it, and I bought it for the PS3, and nobody plays that fucking game ever. I think even right after it came out, it was mostly just bots. I don't know what the sales were for that thing, but not good. Not good. So, and I'm a big Counter-Strike person, but I don't always do a ton of gaming on my PC. A lot of times, especially for Counter-Strike, and Team Fortress and stuff, I'm just skilled out. I can't compete with people who have been consistently playing these games since they came out. I'm just not at that skill level. To the point where it's really not even fun for me to play. Team Fortress, I jump in every once in a while, and I'll play Team Fortress, because you can just kind of spray and pray and just have a good time playing that. You don't have to be really, the skill level is a little bit different depending on the type of mode you play. But with Rainbow Six Siege, I kind of had an opportunity to get in on the ground level with everybody else, and I'm not that bad at it. I'm okay. I'm competitive, and that's really all I can really hope to be with a lot of online shooters and stuff. I just need to be competitive to have fun. I mean, I can't get creamed, but if I do okay, then I feel good about it, I suppose. I'm not going to invest the amount of time into something that these people do just so they can have insane KD ratios and all that crap. I don't really care about that. Although I'll say this, Star Wars Battlefront, I was really good at Star Wars Battlefront for some reason. I just kind of don't really care for the game. I guess I wished I liked it more. But that's neither here nor there. So Rainbow Six Siege, able to get on the ground level. I'm, like I said, I'm okay at it. I'm pretty good. I'm a good team member. I like things that are these kind of games when they're objective focused and that everybody kind of plays a role. And so it's kind of so even when you're not, racking up the kills or whatever, because this game's really not focused on racking up kills, is really objective focused, you can still contribute. You don't even have to, even if you don't even kill one of the enemy combatants, you can still have a valuable place in the match. And overall, I really like it. It's a really surprising game, honestly. I think it's taken a little while to catch on for some people. I feel like it's actually just now starting to get more traction, which is good. I was actually at GameStop today. It's already $35 brand new. You walk into a store and buy it. So, and it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth every penny of that. Especially at the discounted rate. And they're doing and they were selling, they have the regular edition, they have kind of the premium gold edition. Premium Gold Edition, basically what it does is it gives you kind of monetary benefits, and not in the normal way. It's kind of confusing. So they're having their season pass stuff that's coming out over the course of the year, just like every first-person shooter. There's a little different though. It's all free and it's all available right away for everybody. There is no benefit. You don't get it a week early. It doesn't. So if you got the gold membership, the only thing it really nets you is I think they're going to have new operators, which are the classes. They're going to have, when they all have their own special unique abilities. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to unlock those automatically. Now, if you don't have a premium membership, what you're going to have to do is basically grind for renown, which is kind of the game's currency, in-game currency. So every match, you probably get like, if you have a good match, you're going to get like 400 or 500 renown, something like that. And the average rate is about 1,000 renown points per hour. The new operator is going to cost 25,000 renown points. So you're going to have to grind a lot. It's going to be about a 25-hour grind without purchasing anything else to unlock these new operators. But you do get the maps. I believe they said there's going to be 4 new maps, and then there's going to be new game types, which is exciting because it'll change the dynamic of the game, keep it fresh. All those things incredibly positive. So I was kind of down on the DLC thing. I was like, I even asked because I didn't really know what the deal was. It was kind of confusing. Like, well, then why the fuck would I buy, like, the premium edition? I guess because the premium edition comes with, like, because it's none of the stuff that is involved with the premium stuff is, like, pay to win, but you can just, like, buy renown, like, with real money. So if $5 is the equivalent of 600 renown, and I think there's other currencies for skins and stuff. All the stuff is all aesthetics. It's not... other than, buying renown, which unlocks new classes and players and all that stuff. So, it's not like the most egregious stuff in the world. It was just confusing how they laid it out, because I was like, well, if I buy a season pass, then what am I buying? Like, what am I upgrading to? And it's just the ability to basically to have those operators without having to grind for the renown. Which is it'll have a balance. It'll imbalance the game a little bit, depending on what those operators do. I'm not 100% sure what the first one is. First one is going to be in February, the new map and the new operator. So we'll see. But I like this model of, like, they're giving it to you for free, because it's almost kind of like making up for the fact that, in terms of the maps and modes and stuff, that all that stuff's, that you're just getting it. Because it's a $60 game that is just a multiplayer shooter. So basically, like, that $60 price point, like, it almost includes, like, the cost of DLC for them, because they were not. Because it has an interesting. Rainbow Six Siege has a really interesting history. It's kind of a cobbled together old PlayStation 3 game that was canceled. It was Rainbow Six Patriot, which it went so far as that had demos, that had a Game Informer cover story. Like, that game was pretty deep in development when they canceled it. They canceled it because under criticism of its subject matter. It was about domestic terrorism. So, yeah. It was, like, maybe a little bit too much for people. I can't remember if there was some, like, event, like, domestic terrorism event happened, or just people were kind of uncomfortable with the idea that you'd be, like, facing down militias. I guess people were just uncomfortable with that. Because once the subject matter was kind of revealed in that Game Informer article, I believe that it was mostly negative. And it's like, and it was something even I felt weird about. I remember reading about it and being like, well, that's because it has to take such a weird, like, skew of even what militias are and what they represent in this country, and it skews, like, the reality of all that stuff in a way that's just not fair or nuanced. And if people could very easily kind of get the wrong idea, I guess, about, like, what these groups are and stuff like that, because we don't have, like, the militias in this country. There's militias, but they're not, like, and they're weird. Some of them are weird and some of them are more extreme than others, but, like, they're not, like, trying to overthrow the government, I suppose. Minus that dude that's those people that are in Oregon. They're not trying to overthrow the country. They're trying to overthrow a court ruling. It's like a form of protest. People are calling it terrorism because they had guns, but it's alright. It's a long story. I'm not going to get into that. But anyway, so this game is kind of a byproduct of that. They kind of, like, hobbled together using that engine and kind of created this new game almost like and kicked it out of the door. Like, I don't know how long in development Rainbow Six Siege has been. I believe, like, it was kind of kicking around, like, conventions and stuff for about a year. But this is what that's from. So they didn't have, like, planned story content and stuff like that. So they just released it as a multiplayer shooter. And if they're not going to charge me for the DLC and the extra modes and stuff, I'm okay with the $60 price point. Like, I feel like it's worth it. But yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. I just think that's the cool thing. I don't know. I think it's a good practice in the sense where I don't feel like I'm getting ripped off. It's not like Battlefront where it's like, oh, there's hardly anything here, but you're going to pay us another $50, $60 and then we'll give you the rest of it. So there's that. But even though the game itself, the core mechanics are super fun. I've had a ton of fun playing with my brothers and their friends, and like, it's one of those games we get lost in it like for hours. We're like up. There's been a few really late nights that like screwed us all over. We all had to get up in the morning, and we were up to like 3:30 playing Rainbow Six Siege, just trying to get one more game in. Because the dynamic, it's really cool. Like I said, it's kind of got that original Counter-Strike almost feel to it. There's like just a simplicity to it. And there's so many, and it's always fresh because depending on who you play with, everybody plays that game differently and everybody attacks those maps differently. Whether you're in the offensive or defensive, there's just so many ways of entry and there's so many ways to do things. And you can also kind of take advantage of the fact that people get used to one style over another, or one entry point like over another. So like there's a lot of fun to be had there, and it always feels fresh, it always feels exciting. It's the only game I've really felt in a long, long time, like just like in Counter-Strike when you're like the last man, like it feels incredibly like tense. There's a real tension while you play that game. Or when you can hear the guys like walking outside, like say you're like guarding a hostage, some people are trying to get it, and you can hear people like walking on the other side of the room and you don't know what they're doing. You're trying to prepare for it because they're going to like put like breach charges on the wall or just blow a hole in the wall and just start shooting you and stuff. Like, it's an incredibly exciting game. Even though the simplicity of it kind of like allows it to be that exciting. So it was kind of refreshing that it's not like over complex, I guess. Because I think that there was a time where shooters were starting to kind of do that. It's just like there's just almost like too much shit. Just too much customization. There's too much. It's like kind of just like strip away all that shit. Give me this like really basic kind of format and basic mechanics, but it gives me the freedom to attack those basic things in any way I want. That's where the complexity comes in actually from player choice rather than like developer mandated mechanical stuff. And I like that. I think that's really cool. But there is a huge downside to this game, and it almost fucking ruins the game entirely. Just because if you don't know, I think it's an awesome game. I think it's really great. I think it's really underrated, and I think it's going to be something I hope kind of picks up steam over the next 6 months or so. At least especially for the next few months, because there's not much coming out until March and April and stuff. But where was I going? Yeah, there's a huge downside to this. Huge downside. And that is the servers. The servers for this game are hot garbage. They go down frequently. You're always getting kicked. The party management stuff in game is really bad. People get kicked randomly for no reason, like people that are in your party. So that forces you to back out entirely and then try to go and find another game. I mean, I would say like a rough estimate. I feel like, especially over the past week, probably about 40% of the playing time has been in a menu, waiting to get into a game. It's a little bit faster if you have a full squad of 5 people, but if you don't and you have to find a one player to make up for that empty slot, it can take a long time. And then sometimes it just kicks you right before you're about to start a game. It's kind of inconsistent in terms of lag. That can be a little bit of a bitch sometimes. It's got a problem with the hit detection stuff, and I think that has a lot to do with lag. Because I've had some really incredibly frustrating moments of I know I shot that guy in the face 3 times, and yeah. So that so the net coding, I know that's not a simple, easy thing to fix, really. I don't know anything about that, so I can't offer a suggestion or be oh, they should do this or that. I have no idea. I have no idea what goes into that. I know that there's a lot of games that I don't have that problem with. And Rainbow Six, because it's team-based like that, because you have to be in a squad, you're going to get a lot more out of the game if you play with other people you know. It's really, a lot of it has to do with communication and talking to each other, and, there's even value as a player, even after you die. You can still be scanning through cameras and helping your survivors out and stuff. So there's you can still kind of almost like being a recon position, almost, or a security camera type position. You can scroll through cameras and stuff like. So there's cool stuff like that you can do. But yeah, those are some things that sometimes it's so frustrating that we just like would stop playing. It has killed a few play sessions in terms of like, well, yeah, it's a little late. We would like to jump in, maybe play a game or two, but then you spend 45 minutes trying to get into a game. You're just like, fuck it, I'm just not going to do this right now. And it's really unfortunate. I know there's even been a few articles, like, 'cause I was just looking up stuff, like one night we were having a particularly hard time, and there was a few articles that were talking about, like, the servers are killing this fucking game, like, And that sucks because it's so good, and like even the DLC plan they have, giving them maps and the operators for free, basically, I think that's a good thing. It's like something I'd like to support, really. But I have to tell you, if I'm going to like talk about the game, my thoughts on it, that's a really honest thing. It really hurts the game. It has nothing to do with the game itself, and that's unfortunate. This kind of reminds me of like when Diablo 3 first came out, and I understand it's a completely different thing, but just getting on Battle.net for a while was a bitch. And I was, because it's a single-player game, if you want it to be, and I wanted to play it as a single-player game for a while, and it sucked. Like, I could never get on for the first, like, couple weeks. It was just like, you spend all that money on a game, you want to be able to fucking play it. And the same kind of, I felt the same way about Rainbow Six. Like, same type of frustration, where it's like, I just want to play the goddamn game. So yeah, that's definitely a problem. Another thing that kind of sucks, like I said, if you don't have a squad and you're not communicating, there's a lot of bad players. A lot of troll players. People drop out and stuff like that. If you play casual, if you play ranked, which you get penalized for dropping out and stuff like that, but people don't give a shit. They really don't. I think the penalty is like 8 minutes. You get banned from ranked matches for 8 minutes if you like drop out of too many games or something like that. I think it's 2 or 3 times. Or if you kill too many of your teammates and things like that, you kind of lose privileges for a short period of time. I think the turnaround should be more. I think you should either be charged renown, or there should be more time to kind of curb that. Because that is really frustrating. It can be incredibly frustrating. When you're like in a game and people drop out, it really sucks. But a lot of that, a lot of the frustration playing with randoms is definitely communication. It's a game that works best when you're communicating. It's definitely what it's made for. It's built for that. So if you are playing with more inexperienced people, or even yourself, like myself, like, I'm not an expert on some of these maps or whatever. I don't know the best strategies. Like, I don't know what to contribute or like where I should be kind of as a game plan. And when it's kind of a game that's a little bit more difficult to go rogue in. People do it. Like my brother, Ryan, he's really, really good at the game, and he can he's able to be offensive even when we're like being defensive. Even when we're like guarding the objective or whatever, we're trying to stop them from getting it. Like he can kind of go out there and he'll get, nail some guys, and he's really good at moving around the map and stuff. But most of the time you're not going to be like that. Like, you have to have open communication. You got to, everybody's going to be playing a part. It's even good to talk to each other about what classes you're going to pick, what operators you're going to pick before you go into a match. Yeah, because when you play ranked, you're going to play some really good players, some good teams. So you have to be prepared, and that's a big part of it. But yeah, so that's kind of the long and kind of short of it. Is that it's a good game that's kind of marred a little bit. It's a fantastic game. Having so much fun. If you're a fan of Counter-Strike, or more tactical-based shooters, even some of the older Rainbow Six games, like Vegas, I'd say, it's not the same, but it's kind of got that same Rainbow Six feel in terms of 2 shots. You kill people really quickly, and the way the guns sound and feel, I think it's very Rainbow Sixy, very kind of realistic. I would say give it a shot, because it's a fantastic game that's just marred by those servers. So if they get a hold of those servers, it would definitely be, I would even though it came out at the end of 2015, I would put that on 2016's best game of the year. I have a feeling I'm going to get my money's worth out of this thing. I'm going to be ringing it out for the rest of the year. I mean, I'm not even planning on getting the Division or anything like that. Actually, I was at the game store today, and I could have pre-ordered the Division. I traded in some games. I had some extra money after I got a few new games, and I was like, no, you know what? No, I'm not going to get the division. Like, I just don't. I'm kind of happy with what I got right now with this Rainbow Six. And, yeah. So I would definitely, like, check it out. It's cheap enough now, I think it's worth the gamble. With the caveat, though, that the servers are a little wonky at times. So we'll see. You never know. Anyways, that's going to do it for me. I'm Shaun, and I will talk to you guys next time I got something to talk about.